Welcome to Ask MandR, episode 373, the series where I answer your questions about Lego, Star Wars, or whatever else you like. So if you have a question or topic for next week's episode, drop in the comments section down below. This week's video is also brought to you by Whatnot, so more on them and Death Stars later in the video. And yeah, I was actually going to take this off screen, but it is kind of cool to have for the entire video, right? I just feel so squished right here. I think that's better now. I feel more comfortable. By the way, I usually put the questions for Ask MandR in like a nice order that makes sense, but this week we're going random because I don't have time. I have too much to do, too many more reviews to make. I spent 5 days making this review, Austin and I making this review of the $1,000 Death Star. It's insane. So make sure you guys check that out, by the way. Anyway, first question from World War 32. He says, why does bro have the whole Coruscant fleet in his dining room? Yeah, you might have noticed last week when I showed my dining room, there are 4 UCS Venators down there. There's also a couple of Imperial Star Destroyers on top of tables. They are going to make their way into cases at some point, and then the 3 extra Venators down there are intended for a video where I'm going to color swap or modify the Venators into different types of Venators. And part of the reason I wanted to do that was to promote my UCS Venator upgrade kit on MandRshop.com, which I think I just did without having to do all of the other work, so that's great. But at some point I intend for there to be a pretty cool video coming out of that, but yeah, I just got to order all the parts on Bricklink. Next from Crazy Dog, he says, would you ever consider doing an all these years later review series where you review sets you've had built for an extended period of time? There are a lot of sets that suffer from things like wing sag or hinge deterioration that you never see in reviews because they're always reviewed right out of the box. I think this could be an interesting idea. What do you think? No, absolutely. I always think about iPhone reviews where it's like the iPhone 17 Pro 3 days later, and I'm like, all right, 3 days, come on now. Anyway, I've been waiting for the 5-year anniversary actually to come up next year to do this, but I was intending to do a UCS Republic Gunship 5 years later video. Part of the reason I've been thinking about that one in particular is they have now made Jedi Bob, they have now made Commander Cody, and they have now made the Clone Pilot, all of which maybe coulda, shoulda, woulda been included in that UCS gunship to begin with because they asked for what fans wanted, and those are probably the 3 most popular answers. But now that we have them all, does it change my perspective on the gunship? Did the figures actually turn out the way they should have? And so I thought a video like that would be interesting. I'm sure there are other great candidates for videos like this. I know the 2002 UCS Imperial Star Destroyers magnets don't seem to hold up over the years, and that's why when they made the 2019 version, they didn't use magnets. Well, they really stopped using magnets for anything like that anyway. I mean, another set that would be great for something like that is the 2018 Cloud City, a set that was largely hated when it came out and is now worth over like $1,000 on the secondary market. So I think you can look at a lot of sets through different lenses and not just the wing sag or hinge deterioration, and possibly in the opposite direction, like I'm thinking for the UCS gunship. Not that I think I'm going to come to that conclusion, but obviously that's what people may think this video may be heading towards, is like the UCS gunship 5 years later. Has it aged better? Like, do I like it now? Something like that, right? So there's a lot of different lenses you can go with that, and so I'm absolutely open to that. I've been thinking about it for the gunship, and maybe I'll consider it for some other sets. The Peacock says, Ryan's advice about not putting adhesive directly on the wall is funny because if I recall correctly, in the vlog he did it, he said it would be okay since he was going to live in the house for a long time. Look, that was indeed a problem for future me. Unfortunately, future me was a little bit younger than I had hoped, and yeah, I have learned that lesson the hard way. It's the best way to learn lessons. Alex says, whatever happened to your UCS money in Falcon? And I've told this story before, but at the time, that was the largest, most expensive Lego Star Wars set to ever come out. And we have just had that happen again with the UCS Death Star. And so I feel like it's fitting to kind of retread that a little bit. And obviously my life's a lot different now, so I'm not necessarily doing that with this copy, and I don't really do drop tests anymore. But at the time when the Falcon came out, I scrounged together every last penny that I had. I sold my 2008 Death Star build for like $200 just to try to get enough money together for that Falcon. And so I made my review of the Falcon. I made a video called like, is it worth it? Which I mean is kind of what a review is anyway, but that video also did very well. So I may as well just do a, is it worth $1,000 video of this Death Star? Maybe that thumbnail was just that killer. I think I also did an unboxing video, and then I did a drop test. Basically, I was trying to get the greatest value I could out of that set because I literally spent my last dollar on it. And like, I wanted to, at the time, like I didn't really think of YouTube as a career, but like, you know, the idea that I could make $1,000 on a video about the UCS Falcon would be nice at the time, right? And so when I had finished creating all the other content I wanted with the Falcon, I created a drop test video, which did mean it got destroyed. And in destroying it, I didn't want to put it back together. I also still lived in my parents' house. My room, it was a relatively large bedroom, but it's still a small bedroom relative to like having a house worth of space. And so I didn't necessarily want to keep the UCS Falcon built in my room anyway, because it would just take up so much space. So it made a lot of sense for me to just sell it as it was, like all the parts on their own. And so I did that. I don't remember exactly what the parts sold for. It might have been like $700. It was not insignificant. It was selling for a good price at the time, especially because it had immediately sold out. And so the figures were also quite expensive. So I sold those separate. I made money on like just owning the set, let alone all the videos and content I made with it. And so I sold everything. And then the very next summer, because at the time we didn't know how long the UCS Money and Falcon was going to be on shelves. I thought it could be a year and a half, 2.5, 3 years. You know, we didn't realize it would be out for the next decade. So literally the next summer, I met up with my buddy Brick Vibe, and I picked one up from him for a pretty good deal. I think like maybe $650. I could have made a good joke there, but I didn't. I have restraint. But yeah, I think I got a pretty good deal on a sealed one, and I've kept that one sealed as the one that I will eventually build when I own a house. But that has happened, and I still haven't done that. So, yeah, that was the plan. The plan didn't come to fruition exactly. But, yeah, I have a new UCS Falcon. It's sealed in the box, and one day I shall build it. Next, from Koopa, he says, were there any sets you really wanted as a kid but never got until you reached adulthood? How did it feel when you finally got them? There's one big one, obviously, with the 2003 AT-AT. I just remember as a child seeing that on the shelf at Toys R Us, and the box felt bigger than life. It felt like it was as big as me, and I was 6 or 7 at the... God, I didn't mean to do that. I swear that was not on purpose. I was literally 6 or 7.
Come on now, dog.
What has happened? I can't say numbers anymore. Like, that's so unfair. Like, it's ruined content creation. But I didn't end up getting that set for Christmas that year, and it's one that I didn't end up buying for probably another 15 years. I think I built it in the summer of 2020, and I just remember as soon as I finished it, the head fell off, and I was like, oh, yeah, this ain't that great anymore. It didn't age so gracefully. I think it still looks pretty decent, but the build quality compared to everything that's come after it, it is very, very bad to me. So that's one that, like, I personally idealized. There's definitely other sets, like this Death Star I always wanted as a kid, the 2002 UCS Star Destroyer I always wanted as a kid, kind of the unattainably expensive sets. I think the most expensive set as a kid was the UCS Sandcrawler. It was $140, if you want to call that one UCS at least. But yeah, the larger ones like this Death Star, the Star Destroyer, the 2007 Falcon were always pipe dreams. And so now owning them, although I have yet to build the 2007 Falcon as well, but now owning them, like I really appreciate, unlike the AT-AT. Like, this is just lovely. And I think for people that wanted a big globe, this may have become more lovely because this might not be what they're looking for. Man, I feel just so awkward sandwiched between these. Speaking of being sandwiched between these two lovely Death Stars here, this episode is sponsored by Whatnot. They are a live online marketplace where you can buy and sell just about anything. Labubus, they got them. Pokemon cards, you betcha. And you'd never figure out why they sponsored me. People sell Lego on there. I know, it's crazy, right? Now, while that stuff's going on all the time, this weekend, October 9th through 12th, in conjunction with New York Comic Con, Whatnot is hosting their Beyond the Con event, and they have got me 4 UCS Death Stars to give away to you guys. 1 for each day of the con. That's October 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. They're all scheduled on my Whatnot page, so you can go on there and bookmark them, so it'll notify you when I go live. I'm going to be selling tons of LEGO Star Wars sets and minifigs with auctions starting at $1. We're going to have some new MandR customs that I'm selling first on Whatnot this weekend. I'm very hyped for some of these crafters. They look amazing to me. But of course, the big thing is 4 UCS Death Star giveaways. They are available to anyone in the stream, whether you live internationally or not. You don't have to buy anything to potentially win one. All you have to do is be in the live stream when the Death Star giveaway starts. It lasts about 5 minutes. Once it does, you just press enter, and then of course the winner is randomly chosen. I am super psyched because we've got a lot of great inventory. We've also got other giveaways on top of the Death Star giveaways that will be running throughout the live streams. It's going to be a fantastic 4-day Whatnot stream marathon. So if you haven't signed up for Whatnot yet, use my link in the description below. You get a $15 credit to use on your first purchase. Make sure you bookmark those streams because this may be the craziest weekend ever in the history of LEGO Whatnot. So I'm psyched for it. Ryan Frosty says, do you ever get approached by fans in public? If so, how often, and has it affected your life much? So thankfully, I'm not like Mr. Beast famous, where I guess if he shows up to Walmart, people have group chats where they say where he is, and then other people show up to try to get pictures and signatures from him or whatever. I don't yearn for that at all. I don't want that in my life. That sounds horrible, and that's a pretty rough one. It's, the trade-off is being a billionaire, I guess, so that's pretty good. I am frankly at a level where I do occasionally get recognized, maybe a couple times a month outside of like a Lego environment. Like if I'm at a Lego store or Orlando Brick Co., like I definitely get recognized much more often, but maybe I'm walking through Target or at Chick-fil-A or wherever, my normal places may be. And just every once in a while someone's like, hey, I watch your videos, or hey, can I get a picture? And like, yeah, always yes, it's great, right? Now, the only way that I would say it's actually affected my life is at the Lego store. They make you wait in line at Disney Springs. Look, I'd wait in line normally anyway, but the other day, like, my friends were like, oh, cut up in line with us, cut up in line with us. Meanwhile, other people are like cutting in front of us to like get with their friends and family, which seems reasonable. It's a line to get in the Lego store. It's not that big of a deal. It's not like, it wasn't like release morning for anything. It was just like a normal afternoon. And they're like, come on up here. And I'm like, no, I can't do it. No, I won't do it. I'm like, I'm not going to have someone that knows me see me cut in line and like just be like, look at that guy, thinks he's all this and all that, cutting in front of everybody at the Lego store. And I'm a Lego Star Wars Black VIP card member, so frankly, move over, Grandma. I'm coming through.
Someone should put you in a box floating down the river, Grandma!
This should totally get me to the front of the line though, right? Like, I've done my time, but yeah, nah. Next from Ron, he says, what are your 5 Lego Star Wars sets you wish you had? Look, I've got it all as far as sets go. I mean, there's a few sets I still don't have that I will pick up, but anything that's a normal set is attainable to me. The things I wish I had are things I can't buy, which makes sense, right? I guess, right? There's a stupid box, 55 of these exist from the VIP Gala in 2005. It's just a shell that goes around the Darth Vader transformation. That's all it is. The last time I think I saw one for sale, it was like $5,000. Piece of cardboard, $5,000, so pretty rough there. That one I don't have and do certainly wish I had. There's also a couple of Revenge of the Sith little, I don't know if you call them trophies or standees, but it's for Luminara and Anakin Skywalker, and they have little plaques on them, and they look pretty sick. I assume 55 of each of these exist as well. Maybe it's less, I don't know, I don't remember. But those are 2 things I also desperately wish I had. And I guess for the final 2 answers, you could use any of the super rare metal Lego Star Wars minifigures, be it the gold, bronze, or silver C-3POs. You've got some Boba Fett's like that. I think there's also the R2-D2 they did. So there's a few like that I would love to have that aren't necessarily sets, but are just super rare Lego Star Wars collectible items. Those in particular are worth in the tens, mid-tens, high tens of thousands of dollars range, maybe up to 100,000. Just depends on which one and who the buyers are. And, now I wish I had Mr. Beast money all of a sudden. And if you get this on the go, but yeah, that's what I would say. None of the sets. The sets are sets, right? They're all mass produced, right? Even Cloud City. You can probably buy one on Whatnot right now, but it's the stuff you can't just buy that I yearn for. Kingdom of Italy says, do you think after the success of the gingerbread AT-AT, Lego will start doing a Christmas set apart from the advent calendars every year? Thanks and greetings from Italy. Buongiorno. So I absolutely think this is going to start happening more often. It has been happening more often. And in 2023, it was that diorama. 2024 was that Stormtrooper Rebel Trooper Battle Pack. And 2025 is the Gingerbread AT-AT. It is pretty clear that this has become a trend and will continue into the future until it does not. Now, I do think they should stick with Christmas sets for this, or holiday themed sets. Like a Halloween one would be pretty cool too on October 1st. But, I think the Christmas stuff would probably still sell better. And the AT-AT has seemingly sold fantastic. It's on back order. The Death Star's not on back order, at least as of October 6th at noon, but the AT-AT has been on back order for a few days, and I think that shows it's selling really well. It's been sold out at the Lego store. It was very popular on release day when I was there to get the Death Star. Like, people were buying that one like crazy too, and I hope to see them flesh out that line. It's just one of those things where you can kind of do anything and have fun with it because you're not tied to being accurate to different things, and you can just, literally have fun with it. So we'll see where it ends up. I don't really have any particular ideas that I got to have other than a TIE fighter to match the X-Wing, because outside of that, they can do anything, right? Because that's the only thing that needs to match something. I guess a snowspeeder to match the AT-AT now, although that'd be a small snowspeeder, so I don't know if I want that. Anyway, definitely seems like it's going to be a thing. Solo Edit says, will there be another set with Jabba or other types of huts in the next 2 or 3 years? Love the vids and keep up the good work. You, my good man, should watch the new Mandalorian trailer, because the huts are here, and Rod of the Hutt is also supposed to be in the movie, although I suppose it should be an old Rod of the Hutt, so it won't be the little tiny baby Rod of the Hutt minifig. That would make sense. I don't know why I kept envisioning them remaking that figure, but that's probably not going to happen. I guess you got to assume one of the big fat huts here is Rada. But the point is, the huts are some sort of like integral part of the story, it seems. And so, of course, Lego is going to make sets with the integral parts of the story. And so the huts would probably make their way into sets. I also think with their appearances in the movie, some sort of Jabba the Hutt buildable character would be super sensible. I'm pretty surprised that it didn't happen when he showed up in Book of Boba Fett, but they've done all sorts of buildable characters. You got to kind of expand outside of what you've done at this point, and Jabba the Hutt would make a lot of sense to me as kind of a next in line type of character to see. So if you're a big Hutt fan, pun intended, I think the next 2 or 3 years are looking pretty good for you. Next from Nick, he says, do you think a UCS Jedi Temple would ever be considered to release? If so, what minifigures would you want to see in it? I think a Jedi Temple absolutely should be on the table. I don't see why they would never do that. It might still be 10 years from now, but I think at some point a Jedi Temple would do very well. It just includes a ton of Jedi. I mean, you end up with a set with, let's say it has 38 minifigs like this one. It's a prequel set. It'll get the lesser treatment, but let's say it has 20 minifigs and it's all 20 unique Jedi. Like, people are going to go crazy for that. Just the minifigs alone would sell that set, let alone the potential build. Then again, we all thought the potential build of a $1,000 Death Star would look more like that than this. And so who knows, if they did a cutaway of the Jedi Temple, people might go crazy. I think I would really hate that. I think I would hate it much more than the way I feel about this Death Star. So this set makes me a little bit worried about something like that. But a Jedi Temple, maybe akin to what Republic Bricks did. He sent one and I did a review on it. Like, that type of build is so good. If they could do that for $500-$600, it would be phenomenal. But yeah, I think that's definitely going to happen at some point. Cut Pro, he says, what do you think of the paddleboard guy breaking his Lego on TikTok for views? Hey, everyone that uploads content on the internet wants views. I don't know. I disagree with using for views as like a derogatory thing. But anyway, I've seen a couple of these videos of this guy going out on the paddleboard, I guess, and throwing Lego sets into the water. I specifically remember the UCS gunship. I was like, bruh, please don't lose any of those pieces into the environment. I'm going to be that person. like why? It's crazy. And like a public like area, like a real nature. Like, if you do it in the pool, it's different. You know, I've done stuff in the pool before, and you're going to keep it all contained and clean it up easily. Like, if pieces get away, that could be bad for the environment. I don't know. That's my only concern with it. Otherwise, like, I don't know, he's has his own Legos. He can do what he wants with his own paddleboard and stuff. And so I don't have a problem with it there. And I'm the guy that used to do drop test videos, like starting back in 2012. And so I can't talk about breaking your Legos reviews because I did that for quite a while. Ronald says, what's the ETA and the Death Star review? I haven't watched any yet and was waiting for yours. I love you, Ronald. I really appreciate that. And it's out now. It came out yesterday, of course. Obviously, you asked this before it came out. And this Death Star review was such a hassle to make. In a good way. Like, we tried very hard to make it as good as possible. Austin and I were doing all the work to get all the B-roll shots. We were both working on different sections of the video at different times and then putting it together with what we had both done to create the final project. And man, it was just so much work, though. Literally 5 days to create one review. You know, that is by far the most amount of time it has ever taken me to do a review, and that's with 2 people doing it. Usually it's just me doing the review. Obviously, in the past few months, that's changed significantly. And so I just can't believe it took us that long. I was hoping to be done on Friday, and I didn't finish until Sunday night at like 10 o'clock, like halftime of the Patriots game. And I was like, all right, I'm done. I can watch football now. I was so happy. I don't think I had ever felt more relieved upon finishing a YouTube video. Like, it felt like finishing a paper in high school and just being like, oh my God, thank God that's over. I don't have to think about that again. You know, it was like that. Or maybe graduating high school, be like, oh, thank God it's over. You know, just that level of like relief. But yeah, no, it was a crazy review to make. And we have a vlog that will be out of it on MandR Vlogs, like huge, probably super long vlog, because I combined the release date and then the review process. And then it took way longer to review than I thought. So I think the vlogs end up being way longer than I thought. But anyway, yeah, Death Star review out now. And next from Revan, he says, how much do you think the 1 in 5,000 Death Star poster will sell for? And did you get one? I unfortunately did crack and redeemed 5,000 VIP points to get one of the 5,000 Death Star posters in the cool little tube. It looks very nice. I do like the tube. I haven't opened it yet, but here's what it looks like. It just says that's no moon. It's the Death Star. So it's kind of a lame poster, but like, I had to get it. I had to have the complete $1,000 Death Star collection because I also have the silly little postcard that they only gave out at like 6 Lego stores. Disney Springs was one of them. I think any of the stores that did a midnight release, which was run horribly, by the way. I have some feedback for Lego on that, but I'll save it for them personally. But yeah, I needed to have as much as I could, so I went ahead and ordered that poster. Frankly, I don't know how much it'll sell for. I assume quite a bit, maybe at least $100. It's worth $38 of VIP points. But, you know, once it's sold out and people like decide they want it because it's a rare collectible, even though it's not like a cool thing, it's objectively a very lame looking poster, subjectively, I suppose. But I like saying objectively for things like that because it's like, come on, it's a lame poster. Let's be honest with ourselves. I just think it'll end up at like $100. I mean, there's plenty of posters from Lego Star Wars that are worth $50 to $100, I'd say. And so I think that is probably where this one is going to land. And I think that tube probably goes a long way as well. MJ Dev says, I've struck a deal with my parents that we are going to split the price of either the UCS Falcon or Death Star for Christmas. Which should I go with? Ooh, That is a tough one. I would highly consider your display space actually first and foremost when it comes to this. Obviously, you may lean one way or another when it comes to the Falcon or Death Star for what you like better, but it is very important that you can actually fit it in your space. The Death Star, because it's vertically built, takes up a lot less space. Now, you could get a stand for the Falcon and make it mostly vertical, and it's about the same size as the Death Star then, so maybe that makes sense for you too. If that's a consideration, I would look into that as well. But I guess the Falcon is like perfection. This can, there's a lot going on here, and it depends on if you like it or not. If I could only own one, I'd take the Falcon just because I'd rather usually have like really cool models of the ships than like this interpretation of it. Even though I really find myself liking this set outside of the figure quality, I would lean to the Falcon, and also there's an extra $150 there for you, or maybe $75 after you split it, so maybe you can convince them to get you another Lego set as well. Maybe. Kyle says, what's the office space plan? Are you no longer set up at Orlando Brickco? How do you plan to split time/work between the office and new house/studio? I'm not really sure how time is going to be split. The office is there more so for Jared and Austin to have a space to work in that's like nicer and larger than we've had before, and more so as well, so Austin doesn't have to come to my house to work all the time, and that just makes sense to me. Like, why would you want to come to someone's house to work? I mean, I know he probably likes looking at my Lego collection, but like, I would like to have those things as separate as possible, even though it's never going to be possible to completely sever, at least in my current setup. But the plan is in this room here to create a YouTube studio setup that effectively mirrors what I have here. It'll look a little different with the background and all that, but basically the same thing, so we can make YouTube videos in two places at once with different things, different projects, whatever, and he can edit and shoot B-roll, and I can edit here and shoot B-roll, and that would work wonderfully, Studio A, Studio B, and then we have a lot of stuff for MandRshop.com and whatnot. Like, that's another big part of the business that I really want to grow and do more with, and so a lot of that space as well is there for Jared to help expand like products and do things. And for Whatnot streams, like I said, I think last week I just signed up for another year on Whatnot, and I'm very excited about that. Like, so we needed space for that. And yeah, as far as Orlando Brickco goes, all of our stuff is moved out of there. I know I'll get people asking, like, nothing happened. We just have always been looking for more space than they had there, and very gracious of them to offer us that space for the, I guess, a year and a half or so that we were in there. It was a wonderful place to be able to like hang out and work when we did, and I'll always cherish that. And yeah, obviously still gonna do stuff and work with Orlando Brickco forever. Like, a great place. So yeah, anyway, moving on from Do Not Try, he says, agree this Mando movie is not moving the needle for me. Is there a movie you would like to see made, maybe based on the books, that would translate into Lego sets? Would love to see a Thrawn movie and get a Lego Chiss ship. I definitely think Thrawn movies, Thrawn trilogy from the books would be pretty cool. Now, my leaning is definitely towards the Knights of the Old Republic. I think that would make the most sense. Now, I really lean towards the Old Republic for a couple of reasons. There's those like 2012, 2013 era Lego Star Wars sets that I'm kind of nostalgic for and look absolutely fire and would be amazing to see either remade, expanded upon, see more of different ships from that era, right? And then there's also been this really cool like CGI thing that I watched a long time ago, and I've always had in my head is like this really cool bit of Star Wars media that, like, imagine if they made a movie with this stuff. It's just cool, and Star Wars needs something like that is just cool, and so hopefully that ends up being that. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe the Mando movie can fit that, but I really think some Old Republic stuff is where most like hardcore fans want them to go, and I think it does have the ability to appeal to the mass audiences, but we'll see as far as that goes. Anyway, that is it for this episode of Ask MandR. Maybe a bit all over the place. Like I said, I didn't put the questions in order this week. If you did enjoy, hit the like button, and if you have a question or topic for next episode, leave it down in the comment section below. Don't forget, Whatnot streams Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday on my Whatnot page. Link in the description below. $15 credit if you're a new user. 4 UCS Death Star giveaways. It's crazy. I'm so excited to be able to do that, and hopefully they go to a good home.